Your emotional body speaks long before your mind forms a thought. It responds instantly, instinctively, and often with more truth than the logic you try to layer on top of it. Every emotion you feel is a vibration, a movement in your field, a shift in how your consciousness interacts with the world around you. When you understand the emotional body, you stop treating your emotions as problems to fix, and you start recognizing them as signals, guidance, and intelligence. Most people never learned how to listen to this internal communication system. They were taught to suppress their feelings, to be strong, to calm down, to ignore discomfort. But suppressed emotion doesn't dissolve. It embeds. It forms patterns. It becomes the emotional atmosphere you live inside without realizing it. When you feel reactive, overwhelmed, numb, anxious, or disconnected, you aren't broken. You're carrying emotions that were never given space to move. The emotional body holds everything: memories, instincts, unresolved pain, and moments of joy that lifted you. It's constantly mirroring your relationship with yourself. When you look at your life and wonder why certain experiences feel repetitive, why certain triggers feel sharp, or why some emotions rise out of nowhere, it's usually the emotional body speaking in the only language it knows: sensation, intensity, and energy. There is a direct relationship between your emotional state and the world you experience. Your emotions determine how you interpret what happens, how you respond to challenges, and how deeply you allow yourself to be seen. Two people can live through the same moment and walk away with completely different realities simply because their emotional bodies filter the experience differently. Your emotional tone becomes the lens through which you see the world, and the world responds accordingly. This is why emotional frequency matters. When your dominant emotional state is fear, frustration, or scarcity, your perceptions narrow. Your nervous system contracts. You anticipate problems before you anticipate possibilities. When your dominant emotion is openness, hope, or peace, your awareness expands. You notice opportunities you couldn't see before. You respond instead of react. Your body relaxes into the moment instead of bracing against it. The law of attraction is often misunderstood as something that begins in the mind. But your mind does not create resonance, your emotional body does. You don't attract what you think, you attract what you feel. You attract from the emotional signature that is most familiar to you. This is why repeating affirmations doesn't work unless they are backed by emotional truth. Emotion is the magnetic force behind your experiences. This isn't about forcing yourself into happiness. It's about understanding the emotional currents running through you and choosing which ones to strengthen. Your emotions are not random surges. They appear because something inside you is trying to be seen: a need, a memory, a boundary, a desire, a wound, or a truth. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppressing the negative emotions. It means allowing them to reveal what's underneath without letting them take the wheel. Every emotion contains movement. Anger rises like fire. Sadness softens like water. Fear contracts like cold air. Joy expands like light. When you feel an emotion, your job is not to escape it. Your job is to recognize its movement and stay present with it long enough to understand what it's signaling. When you meet an emotion with presence instead of resistance, it begins to shift naturally. Emotions don't want to stay stuck, they want to complete their cycle. As you become more aware of your emotional body, you start noticing your emotional set point, the state you return to when nothing specific is happening. Some people return to worry. Others return to emptiness. Some return to excitement, or peace, or restlessness. This set point was created through repetition. It became familiar. And the emotional body always gravitates toward what feels familiar, even if that familiar state isn't supportive. Awareness is the first opening. When you recognize your emotional set point, you begin to see how much of your life has been guided by patterns instead of presence. You start catching moments where your body reacts before your mind understands why. You start noticing how quickly emotions tied to old memories surface in situations that don't match them. The emotional body is fast. Faster than thought. faster than logic. And when you bring awareness to it, you slow the reaction long enough to shift the entire experience. Understanding emotional well-being means recognizing that emotions are not obstacles. They are teachers. They reveal where your energy flows freely and where it tightens. They show you where you've healed and where you've protected yourself for so long that the protection became automatic. When you stop fighting your emotions, they stop overwhelming you. When you stop identifying as the emotion and instead witness the emotion moving through you, you create space. And in that space, clarity appears. Your emotional body is ready to be heard. It has been speaking your whole life. Today, it becomes something you can finally understand, not by analyzing every feeling, but by noticing the patterns, the sensations, the tones, and the truths they carry. Emotional well-being begins with this level of honesty. Not perfection. Not positivity. Just presence. Pure, grounded presence. And in that presence, your entire relationship with your emotional world begins to transform.